Good morning, everybody. Welcome to First Center for Spiritual Living. I want to give a special shout out to the people who are watching us on YouTube and watching us on Instagram and our Facebook channel. We have quite a few tuning in every week. We're getting your comments, your compliments, and we're really thrilled to have you be part of our Sunday morning and our Thursday sessions. If you'd like to be more intimately involved with the community, send us an email, send us a text message, and we will be able to send you our e-letter, which is oftentimes filled with spiritual gems, and we can stay in touch with you. After today's service, there's a time for sharing. Many of you really enjoy that. So if you can, stay with us. So let us begin. Of course, I have to welcome all of you on the Zoom call. So I can't see all your faces, but welcome to our service. And I look forward to interacting with you shortly. So I've got a Zen story today. And it's about mindfulness and freedom, which are really the themes of today. There was a young monk who asked his teacher, he said, "Master, what's the secret to living a joyful and happy life, a life of freedom?" And the master replied, "It is to be mindful in all things and to be present and aware of each and every moment as it unfolds." The young monk asked, "But what about all the distractions and the attachments that, pull me away from mindfulness?" And the master replied, "They are like clouds passing in the sky. They come and they go, but the sky remains unchanged. Our true nature is like the sky. It's vast and it's unchanging. And it is only by being mindful that we can remember this and find freedom." The young monk pondered this for a moment and asked, "But how do we cultivate mindfulness?" And the master smiled at the question and he replied, "By simply breathing, my dear student. Breathe in, breathe out. With each breath, we return to the present moment, and our true nature. As the Zen saying goes, when walking, walk. When eating, eat. This is the practice of mindfulness, and it is the path to true freedom." So that's our little introduction for what we're going to be talking a bit about today. I have another quote by Lao Tzu, another great spiritual mind. He said, "When you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you." Now you could think about that for a long time. We would say the kingdom is at hand. When you realize it's all here, when you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. John Kabat-Zinn has another wonderful quote. "Mindfulness means being awake. It means knowing what you are doing. Being mindful, being awake." In today's rush, according to Eckhart Tolle, in today's rush, we all think too much. We seek too much. We want too much. And we forget about the joy of just being. I used to think when I was involved in Science Mind years ago, when you just wake up and realize that you exist as a living, breathing entity in the mind of God, that you are a being, and you think, and where did I come from and how did this happen? And here you are and you can think and you are a living, breathing being and an aspect of this spirit. It's mind-boggling. So in this rush, as Tolle was saying, we're all thinking so much and so fast and we're seeking everything and we want everything. We forget just about the miraculousness of of being here and being able to observe life. Mindfulness is about love. And mindfulness is about loving life. When you cultivate this love, you clarify and you develop a compassion for life, and your actions begin to happen in accordance with that mindfulness. Again, Tole, please realize deeply that the present moment is all you will ever have. The past is gone. Though we keep trying to drag it into our present, Tole is advising us, realize that the present moment is all you'll ever have. And from Ram Dass's days, we'll say, be here now. Thich Nhat Hanh, who was the inspiration for much of today's lesson, his words and ideas would say, the present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you're attentive, you're going to see it. As I would say, if you practice the presence, our teaching, we're metaphysicians at heart, and that's really ultimately, we're here realizing who we are, and we're realizing every encounter is a holy encounter, and there is God in you, and it's able to know that, and it's able to realize, oh my goodness, I'm part of this, and then you wake up more and more and you realize that you live, move, and you have your being in this essence, this divinity, this power. So today's lesson, I'm going to start out by saying it's important to learn how to slow it all down, learn how to be here now. And there's lots of ways to do that. We talk about knowing that you are one with power, you are one with the one, that you are cause to your own effects in your life. You've heard the expression, I am cause to my own effect. We are cause, there's a law of cause and effect. It essentially boils down to my thoughts and my thinking and all that goes on with me. My consciousness is creating my life. And that would be true of everyone. So the world that you see is a reflection of consciousness. And we do our work here, each and every one of us who are involved in the teaching, we do our work in consciousness. Or the old days they would say we do our work in mind, which is really the same idea. When I was younger, we were supposed to go out there and help change the world, save people, and do all of that. And this teaching would suggest to you the world is just fine. The world is evolving, and everyone is in the perfect place, perfect time, doing what they know how to do. We're all evolving, and I'll say evoluting. There was a time in my early 20s where I was trying to rescue everybody. I was early on in a program of recovery. And I was very painfully taught that some of them are going to have to do what they have to do. Some of them are going to lose. Some of them are going to suffer. And the thing is, we cannot fix anybody else as much as we would love to sometimes. We really don't have that power. The transformation that occurs in this teaching is always inner transformation, learning to love ourselves more and more. And as we become these beacons of light, as we become more fully who we are, as we grow in awareness of who we are, we become lights. We become lights in the world and to the world. And other people are given, in a way, permission to shine more brightly. So, as many people have said in different lessons, Marianne Williamson is always the one that comes to mind on this idea, is, you're here to shine and shine brightly and have, great visions, large visions, the bigger the better. Because what the mind can see and believe, it will achieve. And the universe doesn't play favorites. Everybody's a favorite in that sense, because life is responding to everyone equally. I want to share something with you, because we're trying to be more mindful today. At least that's the idea I'm suggesting. And I want to share it because it comes from an author that inspires me a lot, Thich Nhat Hanh. And it's a bit of his story and a bit of a story that can show us the importance of slowing down, practicing this. We've adopted a phrase here at the center, taking a pause that refreshes and becoming more aware, of how you create everything moment by moment. When we slow down and when we sit and we're still, you've heard expressions like be still and know that you're God. When you sit and you become still and you just get yourself to a place of recognition, recognizing that all is well. Let me walk you through a little exercise to help you slow down. As we slow down, it goes like this. Let's say we imagine yourself sitting next to a stream. We can listen to its laughter and watch its sparkling water run by. We can notice the pebbles looking down at it that are glistening in the fresh, in the base of the water. We can notice the green plants nearby. And we can be completely overcome with a sense of joy just by observing something like this in nature. We are one with these streams. We're one with the freshness. We are one with the purity. We are one with the beauty, the clarity. And we're having this moment. You can imagine yourself having this moment, but in an instant, we might find that we've had enough. We start thinking of other things, and we're no longer one with the stream. It's of no use for us to sit in a peaceful forest if our mind is lost in confusion. Like we go to nature and we can have this experience and it can be wonderful, but it won't do us any good if we're preoccupied with all our cares and the hustle and bustle of our lives. Another example, you might have a grandchild or a child. When you live with a child or you live with a friend, this would be someone you love, right? And their freshness and their warmth and their love is a beautiful thing, and it can relax us and bring us great joy. But if there's no mindfulness, if our heart is not with them, the child or the friend, their precious presence is neglected and they no longer exist. I mean, they're all around you, but they're not there for you in your mind because you're focused elsewhere. A lot of people live very unconsciously, and they don't intentionally neglect the people around them, but there's no appreciation because there's no mindfulness. We must remember to be aware, in this case of the children or our friends, and to appreciate their value because they bring us a lot of happiness if we are present and we're mindful. If through carelessness and forgetfulness we become dissatisfied with these people and we start asking too much of them, or we're miserable and we're taking it out on them, we reprimand them, scold them, we will eventually lose them. So, the whole idea is love the people around you, practice this presence, see the good in them, learn to say thank you, learn to love them. Because if you're not paying attention, you're not mindful, you're losing great opportunities. And these are the things you look back on in your life and you'll realize they were the important things. Only after they're gone, you'll realize how precious they were, and then you will feel regret. Once they're gone, our regrets are in vain. We live, we move, and we have our being in this precious life, in this energy. We call it God, we call it life, we call it creative energy. We live in it, we move in it. It's attempting to burst forward in our life always. It's wooing us all the time. That spirit within is attempting to get your attention in so many different ways, in your dreams, in your moments in the blue, your moments of inspiration. It's attempting to get your attention. Life is wanting to burst forward by means of everybody. And it wants to burst forward with miracles. And, it could be in a glass of water. You can see miracles in a ray of sunshine, a leaf, a flower, in laughter, in rain, in anything. If you're practicing this teaching and practicing the present, knowing that I'm alive and I'm awake and it's here and it's responding to me, if you're beginning to wake up and know that you are one with this one, and you're one with all of life, as you begin to live in this kind of awareness, it's easy to see miracles everywhere. As you keep on practicing, I'm connected, I am supplied, I'm a part of it. As you keep practicing this, you'll be guided. Your heart will be filled with joy. You will have a sense of appreciation for everything. Now you might say, I'm not there yet, and I can understand. But the thing is, I know I've been there enough to know that you can get there. And you remember that line that we oftentimes use from Louise, which is remembering who we are, and that we can get there. We can become mindful, we can become centered, and we can get there. As we keep on practicing and letting that guidance, guide us, and we say to ourselves, there we go again, and when we're off track, we get back on track. As we do this more and more, our heart is going to be filled with joy. All of our lessons, every single Thursday, every single Sunday, and now we're doing lessons on Wednesday. All of our lessons are reminders to build ourselves up in consciousness. All of our lessons are to help us to awaken or remember the truth of our being. Raymond Charles Barker said to remember that you are the whole bit. You're the alpha, the omega. Within you is everything you'll ever need and want, and it's waiting your use. It's been called the best kept secret of the ages. So there it is. And sit with it, become mindful of it, understand that it's there, and it's been always trying to get your attention. And as you learn to work with it, it responds to you. So you're the whole thing, whether you know it or not. That wondrous life is your life. And it's always going to be about your consciousness, your spiritual understanding. So my reading continues with the lesson. You have the ability, you may not know it, to see miracles everywhere. From another book that I'm fond of, there's a well-known line, miracles are natural. When you're not experiencing them in your day-to-day living, often, something's gone wrong. Because miracles are to be expected. When you're not experiencing them, it really ought to be aha, and smile and smile. And you're going from joy to joy and glory to glory, because when you lift up your sights and your consciousness in this way, and you know who you are and what what you possess and how it works, miracles are very natural things. So as the saying goes, when you're not experiencing them, something's gone wrong. And all that's really saying, it's kind of a poetic set of lines, is your consciousness is in a different place. You're not being mindful. You can be having spiritual experiences looking at that stream, or you can have spiritual experiences, in so many ways, and because you are a spiritual being, and you can go within, and all things are new, become new as you connect with that source. So if you're not experiencing this joy, this happiness, this sense of the miraculous, it would suggest that we have allowed ourselves to entertain stories of inadequacy, stories of fear. The many faces of fear have crept in, or we're in a place of judgment of ourselves or others. Every single person, every human being that you can imagine, no matter where, no matter what country it is, you might think it's some terrible place or any good place, every single person everywhere is a human being and by definition, a spiritual being, and all have a spark of this divinity within them. Every person is a multiplicity of miracles, having eyes that see thousands of colors, shapes, who can hear thunder, and they have brains that can ponder a speck of dust just as easily as they can take in the entire cosmos, hearts that beat in rhythm, that's in tune with the heartbeat of all beings. When we're caught up in our struggles of the day, and we're in a place where we're blaming our other people, or we're blaming the people that we wish we were mindful of and appreciating, but we're blaming them and we're squabbling. When we're in the proverbial weeds, out there and alone on a skinny branch, or we're like the proverbial child, we're really the heir to everything, but we're lost. When we're in these places, and when we're reacting, and we're holding grudges, and we're angry, and we're, how we can be. When we're doing all that, what we're doing is we're playing out old stories, old tapes. Usually it's things that we learned from when we're very young. In recovery, they used to say, when you're hungry, you're angry, you're lonely, you're tired, you're feeling discouraged by life's ups and downs, and you're all focused on what's wrong and what's missing, the pain. Much of the real pain comes from forgetting who we are, forgetting that we're spiritual beings, and forgetting that we have access to healing and health and abundance, and there's a nurturing quality there's something nurturing that happens when you remember who you are and know that you're supplied and supported, and you won't be dependent upon people, places, and things. So we forget. So we want to get out of the weeds. We want to get back into the driver's seat. By that I mean, you can think of that stagecoach that we teach the children science of mind. We invite them to get out of their comfort zone and get up there and take the reins. Because we find ourselves being buffeted around a lot by life, and we tell ourselves a lot of things that aren't true. When we're living in this place of connection, we see the good, we feel the good, and healing occurs of all kinds. When we're not in this place, we're not aware of the God or the good, when we're caught up in the story or the stories, the many stories, we won't notice the miracles. We won't notice the smiles. We won't notice the goodness which is all around us. We won't notice the beauty that's in the stream. We won't take it all in. You see, the point here, if you're mindful, you'll see miracles everywhere. J. Willard Freeman wrote that beautiful poem, which I sometimes read, which was entitled, "I Am There." And just a couple lines from it. It goes and says, "I am there when you see me, and I am there when you don't see me. I am the light that you see by. Beloved, I am always there, always, always, always there." So this power, this presence is always here. It's always there. And when I say there, I mean in you. It's always there. If you consider it in nature, for example, there's two or three things. A plant. I was going to talk about a tree in your yard, but we'll talk about a plant that you may have, right? If you have a plant and you acquire it and you begin to nurture it and give it your complete attention, you'll start to see it as you really observe the plant, and you'll start to understand it's truly a miracle. If you look at it, if you notice it, and send it, love and good vibes, if you take care of it, you'll realize that you too are part of its miraculousness. Because if you're God, seeing God in everything, you're gonna see you too are part of its miraculousness. Even after you've taken care of it for a short time, you're going to notice that its leaves are looking different. they're going to be a little more green or a little more shiny. I mention this because this is exactly the same that happens with people around you. If you have people around you who are under the influence of your awareness and your care, and you're mindful of them, you're going to be more attentive, understanding, loving, and your presence, not only you being present to them, not only nurtures you and lifts you up, but it enhances everyone around you as well. When you truly love yourself, as Louise Hay tells us every single week, and as we bring forth her information every Thursday night, when you really, really love yourself, not only does your life always work out better, but you're nurturing yourself. And as you're nurturing yourself, you're going to uplift everyone else along the way. We've been long too focused on helping other people when we have been a mess ourselves. So, Louise set it straight. She really was a true science of mind person. When you really love yourself and you appreciate that you are a spiritual being and you working on getting rid of all this stuff, then you can authentically help people and you can give from your heart. When you are on this journey, you come to understand in loving yourself, you won't even know it, but you'll be lifting up everyone, the whole society. If we're all doing this, the world starts to change because of our consciousness. One person's consciousness, their peaceful, illumined presence, can lift up many, many, many people. In our teaching in Science of Mind, we remind you that our minds are consciousness, and they create everything. From the majestic mountains, you can think of the mountains with snow. When you're contemplating these mountains, the very existence of it in your contemplation depends upon your awareness. When you close your eyes, as long as your mind is present and focused on, say, the mountain, it's there. When you're sitting in a moment of quiet meditation and you're focused, you can feel in those moments a quickening. You can feel an aliveness, a source. You can feel a presence of the whole universe. We go to treatment in the first step of treatment. We recognize and we know that there is this power, this presence, and it's in us, and we can feel it. That's the most important part of the affirmative prayer, because when you have this awareness and let it stir within you and realize that you're one with it, and then you can begin to use it. You can speak from that place of knowing and of that place of connection. So sitting in a moment of silent contemplation and recognizing who you are is, really something that's wonderful. It will remind you that this power is there. When you're doing it, if your eyes are closed, it's probably even better. It's been said if you close your eyes, you can see better because the sights and sounds of the world are not there, and they're not your enemy. You can just focus on the truth. If there's any enemy, it's only that we forget. Remembering who we are is the most important thing we can do, because we have this propensity to forget and get off track. Remembering and forgetting, you've heard me say 1,000 times, is the game that we play. In all of Louise Hay's classes, workshops are reminders to get centered or recentered. Get yourself recentered and know that I'm one with the one, I'm one with Source, I'm one with God. And remember, who you are and what you are, and that you have the power to do amazing things, in this lifetime. And you are here to experience the wonder and the love that's everywhere present. I've had many lessons with the title Be Here Now, or have given many over the years. or lessons about looking to this day, because this day has everything. And especially for you, because you are the whole bit. Don't look to the past. The past is a trap, because when you go to the past, you're going to make comparisons, you're going to lament, and all of that. So the lessons are always about being here now and focusing your attention here and now. The future, same way. Be here now. Louise Hay would always say the point of power is in the present moment. The advice is always the same, no matter what spiritual leader or person I read. Do your very best to drop any references in your conversations to the yesterdays or what it used to be like. And do your best to drop any idea of what should happen. Do your best to be in the present moment. The point of power is there. Everything is alive and happening in this moment, in this holy moment, in today. Each of you on the call are beings of light and wonder and power, and I hope you can say, I release the need to be in the past. I'm fully present now, and I'm mindful, and I have appreciation for everything that's in my life. Everything is alive and it's happening now, and everything has to do with your consciousness. Please don't focus on the consciousness of the planet or the consciousness of your partner and what needs to be changed anywhere outside. Everything has to do, when you're working this path of spiritual growth, it has to do with your consciousness. So let's talk a bit. I want to talk to you about where we abide. Well, we're going to talk about home, our spiritual home. Our spiritual home is in the here and it's in the now. And it's not limited by time, not limited by space, nationality, race, gender, anything else. Your true home is not about any abstract idea. It's something that you can touch and feel in every present moment. I suggest everybody begin to learn affirmative prayer. I know many of you are learning and have learned and use affirmations, and I know many of you know how to do releases, and we teach it all the time. So keep working with affirmations, because that will help build up your consciousness. When things come in that are unlike what you're affirming, find a way to release. Tell yourself, I release this from the nothingness from whence it came. I release it. It's no longer true. But begin to learn how to use affirmative prayer, because as you learn the complete process, it will make your prayer process even more powerful. But the big thing is learn about the power that's in the first step of our prayer process. We call it recognition. And in this step, we recognize, we sit, we quiet ourselves, and we sit and or you can stand, but you go within and you bring yourself to a place of realization where you know that all is well, and you contemplate the world or the universe or whatever you do and realize that, I am one with this one energy, this one power that's everywhere, and let your mind think everywhere. And I'm one with it, and all the power of the universe is here, and it's now, and you think about it, say to yourself, it's in me and it's operating through me. And let yourself sense it and know it, and say, I realize this, I know this. And as you do this, and as you just sit with it and just repeat it, and until you get a little bit of a sense of a quickening or a feeling of this energy, this power. So this is where your home is. It's seated within you, and it's a seat of power and a place of joy and a place of knowing, and it's in you. And I invite you to take some time to bring yourself, be mindful and bring yourself there. Your home is in the here and now, and you can, as you do this, you can practice it, you can feel it, and you can become more and more mindful that you have this within you. And you can know also that it will guide you. And as you sit here and you bring forth this understanding, you can begin to relax, and your body will be more relaxed too. And you allow yourself to be in the present moment. And there will be peace. And you'll remember that nobody can take this away from you. And you might, then go about and think about other things. But you can always remember to come back. And this is the beginning point for all of us, the awareness that there's power and there's peace. And you are one. You are actually an individualization of this God source, and it's in you, and it's always there for you. And you know that no one can ever take that away from you. Now, people, places, and things can occupy your mind, your space, but they can't take away this inner reality. This is something you know. Once you know it's there, you always know it's there. This is the place that we can always go to, and is and can be thought of as our true home. Louise Hay's meditations often mention, many of them will start out, deep at the center of my being, there's an infinite well of love, a place of calm and wonder, power and wisdom. So in all of our lessons and our daily work, we're always working with our own consciousness. When we stop speaking and thinking and reacting and go to that quiet place within, and we breathe it in and we exhale, and breathe it in and contemplate, there is this spirit within me, this power, this source. When we breathe it in, we allow ourselves to get in touch with all that there is, and we'll sense it, we'll feel it. When we do this, we're being in our true home, and we can touch the wonders of life. When you allow yourself to unite with this energy, it comes from being mindful, right? You can take steps. If you take one informed step, we hear the expression, do the affirmative prayer, treat and move your feet. Well, when you're being mindful and you're getting connected, and then you'll get intuition, and you'll be moved to take a step, an informed step. It won't be a step of reaction, but it'll be an informed step, and then another. Allowing guidance, allowing spirit in, comes from being mindful and knowing that you have this connection. And the universe is always saying yes to you. And then you can take another step. The source that's within you is limitless. You can't exhaust it. It will always be there. You may forget it, but it's always there. As James Stillard Freeman said, I am there because I have to be. Beloved, I am there. So when you realize that you are the whole bit and you have this great intuition, you have an internal guidance system, and you're alive and you're awake, and when you're fully present and know that, my God, I have access to all of this and I'm part of it, you start to realize, oh my goodness, you are powerful beyond your own knowing. This inner reality is solid. You can sense it, you can feel it. This potential is in every one of us, all of humankind. Most humankind do not know this. Those of you who are involved in this practice, this teaching, and who really practice it, my God, you're creating amazing experiences, you're having wonderful demonstrations. And so as you start to really understand what Ernest Holmes said, there's power for good in the universe, and you can use it. So, it becomes a very real thing to us. And you'll start to understand this energy, this God is in every encounter and everything you see. And then you say, who am I to judge anybody about anything? I have enough of a thing getting through my own day. We're not here to judge the world. We're here to love the world. So we don't oftentimes remember that it's there, but it always starts with the realization that there is this perfect energy, this intelligence that's in us, and it will guide us. So invite it in. It won't be the uninvited guest, as my dad used to say. It waits for your discovery, your invitation. It's nice to sit and just start with some breathing exercises and being aware that there is spirit within. Pay attention to your breath and keep breathing, and take a time and just make an effort to experience You know, say to yourself, there is this power, there is this love within me, and let yourself realize it. Another word about concentration. Joy and happiness are born from concentration. One of the exercises from Thich Nhat Hanh was, when you're having a cup of tea or you're having a cup of coffee, the value of that experience depends upon your concentration. Now, I have friends, and I've done it before, we'll run into Starbucks, and they have loads of fancy coffees and offer to you at staggering prices. But you're not getting much value out of that Starbucks coffee, even though you might be spending, $5, $6, $7 for it. Thich Nhat Hanh was offering, he said, the goal here with our beverages or anything is to enjoy it 100%. Enjoy it with 100% of your being. And this could be if you're out having a dinner with somebody, or you're doing anything, to be mindful, enjoy. Put down your darn cell phones. This is a funny city. You go out to eat and you see everybody staring at their phones, and I'm thinking they're spending $100 to stare at their cell phones. I don't get it. But like with the coffee, his point was, be mindful. If you're having a cup of coffee or tea, he said the value of that experience is going to depend upon your concentration. The goal here with everything is to be present 100%. To be here now, to be here with your friends, your people, your loved ones. The true pleasure is experienced in the concentration. Another example is when you take a walk. I've suggested people in previous lessons to take a different street because you don't see anything anymore if you're doing the same route all the time. But this example is a similar idea. When you take a walk and you are 100% concentrated on your walk, you'll experience joy. You'll experience joy from the steps. As you have more concentration, you're going to notice all kinds of things different, so concentrate. Again, I've suggested in other lessons, take different routes so you can begin to notice the beauty. So we're back now today to suggesting concentrate on everything, from your coffees, your teas, to your walks. Practice mindfulness and concentration on what you're doing. Such a simple thing. Just this act of concentration will bring you so much joy. Practicing mindfulness in any or all of these activities will put you in touch with your power, and you will start to experience a world of wonder, and you'll start to see miraculous things. I mean, they've always been there, but you haven't seen them because you've been otherwise preoccupied. Years ago, a lot of New Thought people were doing fire walks. They walked on burning coals. I never could understand it. I didn't want to do it. It didn't appeal to me, but there's a lot of places that were doing it. There's a Zen master, Rinzai, I believe, who said, the miracle is walking here on earth, not walking on water and not walking on coals. The real miracle is walking here on earth. If you can walk on earth in your day-to-day living and realizing the presence that's in you and in everyone and everything, you can walk through your day realizing I am that. And you're looking at the streets and the people and they are that. That's the real miracle that a master spoke of. It's the practice that will lead you, he said, to experiencing the awareness of God, the kingdom of God. It went on, life is too precious to lose all this beauty. And drink expensive coffees without being present. Life is too precious to lose all this beauty, to lose our beautiful selves. And we do this when we're all caught up in despair and fear. We got to find a way to wake up. Our teaching offers a way. If you practice it, I should say, because if you just tune in, that's the first step. But practicing it is really important. if you intend to wake up every day to this marvelous, wondrous reality of life, then you're going to have the ability and the power to see everything new. You have the ability and the power to heal your life. I mean, we'd say that every week in so many different ways. You can heal your life. You can have prosperity. You can have abundance. You can have peace. You can release the need to be part of the nonsense. You can hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. You have the ability, you really do, to change it all. So stay with us and join with us often, and we will keep reminding you and offer various tools to help you practice. I know most of you are wanting to live your best lives and create a great vision for your life. You're doing a lot of inner work. We're hearing the comments, we're getting the messages, we're getting the calls. And this is the very way it starts. Your inner resources are untapped, they're underutilized, and it's all here waiting for you. It's waiting for your discovery and your use. Learning to be more mindful is a spiritual practice, and it can be a lot of fun too. Inviting spirit in, just keep doing it. When you pick up a book, you can do it. When you open a door, wherever you're doing anything, just become more mindful. Even when you're reading a book on your device, anything that you're doing, let your intention to be mindful, and let yourself know that you're going to invest yourself 100% in the activity. Multitasking is a very much overrated thing. I used to think it was a good thing. It isn't, because you're not really putting your attention anywhere. So invest all your energy. Drop the multitasking. When you're listening to a lesson, for example, here, or you're going back to a lesson, listen to it intently, because we pack an awful lot into the lessons. Many of them are worth listening to a second or a third time. Realize it's important to start being more concentrated so that your awareness becomes more keen. Every one of us wants to have more freedom. Emerson would said the whole universe is evolving towards greater and greater freedom. So let me share a few words about freedom. And we'll wind things down. Spiritual freedom. The basic condition of happiness is freedom. If you're worried about your partner, your children, or the economy, your investments, rising prices, the power dynamics of the world, if you're focused on loss and you're focused on all the things that bring you fear, what can you do about it? I've suggested to people all year long who consume a ton of news to limit it. It's one thing to be informed, it's something altogether to be traumatized by listening to negative programming, throughout the day and evening. We have to realize that social media and news channels are always vying for ratings or clicks. Happy stories don't sell for the most part, and so it's rare to even hear them or see them. And as people, I know some of us, we get the calls. People are going through a lot right now, and people are experiencing loss and pain, and we're sensitive to it. And sometimes it's very difficult trusting life and the process of life that we talk about. So they're looking for help, and they're looking for answers, how to deal with pain and losses. When people are going through tough times, grief and loss, when you're going through it, and you might be negative or have a propensity to have given up a bit, and you think life is very difficult. The thing to know is sometimes, time takes time, and getting positive messages from people who care is very important, and doing things that are self-nurturing are very important also. But I'm talking now to the people who have a lot of fear and they don't know what to do with it. All I can keep on encouraging everybody to do is spend some time working on the affirmations and loving yourself. And I love, accept, and approve of myself exactly as I am. each and every day. Things are getting better in every way. I release the need to blame. I realize people are doing the best that they can with the information they have. These are all really wonderful things to affirm and to know. The world at large is caught up in a world of action and reaction, as we hear us say all the time. But that doesn't have to be your reality or my reality. The world of beauty and the world of freedom is always here. It might seem distant to you when you're going through a tough time, but it is here. The world of beauty and the world of freedom, it's always here, and you can turn to that. If you can become mindful and sit and be still, as we've talked about in this talk, it's there for you. We can turn our back on it because we might be going through, something that's very tough for any of the reasons I just mentioned. But I want to reassuringly say to you, it's always there, and it's always attempting to get your attention, to bring you back. Again, this place where love abides is your home. It's in you, it's operating through you. It's a place of wonder and beauty, a place of peace, and it's always available. So we know we have this home, and I invite people to keep practice going there. We are the very, very lucky ones in this teaching who have found this teaching and this practice. And we know that life responds to us. Most of society, or most of the people in the world, rather, most of society are not very happy, even though they have everything they need in a way. It's their habits and their beliefs that are always pushing them forward towards getting something else. And all of that prevents them from being mindful and happy about what they have right now. They think always that they will be happier at some distant point when they are a different way, when they lose weight, when they get married, when they cure something, when they have something. So always the happiness is dependent upon something else happening. If you find that you're doing this, stop yourself. Say, I release the need for this. To close, or to wind it up, why wait to be happy? It's later than any of us think. I hate to say that in a negative way, but the thing is, the final chapter has not been written, so let's not wait to be happy. Proclaim, exclaim, I deserve happiness now. I intend to have happiness now. And then once you do this, affirm it and give thanks for it. And act as if you have happiness. Practice happiness. Assume that virtue. Practice being happy and practice being connected and with everything you do. Again, say to yourself something like, I'm one with Spirit. I come fully equipped. I'm a happy person. Practice it mindfully with every step and every action. You could put some big smiley faces on your computer screens, TVs, mirrors. Just remind yourself, I am a happy person. I come fully equipped. And always give yourself the reminders that you will overcome. I know we all have old tapes. I know we screw up and we say things we don't mean and we regret it and then we suffer. You might think you've done things that are unforgivable, but you've got to find a way back. You've made mistakes, as I've said before. We all have, but it doesn't mean you are a mistake. You're learning every step of the way. So you might think, oh my God, I've done all this before. This is spiritual work. Sometimes we have to sit with ourselves, and you heard me say before, hello darkness, my old friend. You have to sit and think, my goodness, why am I creating this again? We want to think about it, and we want to stop it and have a good talk with ourselves. You might pretend like you're an older brother or sister. Not to condemn ourselves, but just say enough is enough. And then hopefully you get to a point where you realize it's ridiculous and you can find a new way to move forward and to release it, whatever the pattern is. And as we become mindful and as we practice releasing the need for many of these habits, this energy does disappear and becomes dissipated. And we keep practicing and practicing, knowing that we are supplied and supported. And we're focused on seeing the God in the good. It's our intention to see the good in God in everything and being mindful. And as we do this, we are shining our light on everything we do and everything we encounter. We're seeing this God or this good energy in all things. And as we do this more and more, we're living in a state of remembrance of who we are. And we will experience a new freedom and new happiness. It happens quickly if you stay at it. Let me say to you for the last time how we teach the teaching to little children, because it might be good for us to remember. We teach them to, get out of the comfort zones of their stagecoach, because in front of them are a team of wild stallions. And the invitation is to get up on the platform, and as Ernest Holmes said, there's power for you to use. So start to use your power to create the kind of life that is reflective of what your inner reality is in your dreams. Mindfulness is about love and loving life. When you cultivate this love, it gives you clarity and compassion for life, and your actions happen in accordance with that. As we close this lesson today on freedom and mindfulness, or the freedom that comes from mindfulness and being the guardian at the gate of our thoughts, let us remember the words of Ernest Holmes, who said there's power within us, a power that is greater than our circumstances, greater than the obstacles or challenges we may face. As we cultivate mindfulness and inner peace, we tap into this power and we use it to create a life that we desire, free from any disturbance or limitation. Let's carry this truth with us as we go about this day, knowing that we're always connected to this power within and we can access it whenever we need it. And so it is. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you at the other side of the break. Jimmy and I will be taking your calls.